Well, Travis, you worked on like several 3D films, the post-conversion. Do you see it as a gimmick or?
In ways, I think technology has advanced as far as like shooting in 3D and doing post-conversions. As far as doing post-conversion, you have the ability to convert, old movies into 3D.
Like they're doing with the Star Wars movies.
Right. So, I mean, to me, like, it may be a gimmick to others, but, a lot of people are, they're still watching movies in 3D. But on top of that, too, like, in terms of buying a TV that's 3D, you need to go out and buy a, player that plays 3D, as well as a disc that's 3D.
So Sony's making a lot of money off this.
So I mean, I'm gonna admit they're banking on something. So
the DCD brought up a fun statement asking if we thought that 3D gaming is as passable as motion control gaming.
Well, that's a very that's interesting. I mean, it actually brings us into our next topic of sorts with 3D gaming. With hardcore gamers, how do hardcore gamers benefit from this? Because if you think about hardcore gamers and where 3D is big in film, hardcore film makers, movie goers, they don't. Most of them, they're against it. I mean, how will this affect gaming, hardcore gaming, in the long run? Like, if this lasts.
I'll tell you exactly how it's going to affect gamers. All right.
Is this a vision of the future?
No, this is a vision of the future. Get ready for this. Daredevil Pirate coming at you. All right. So you're not supposed to watch 3D televisions or 3D movies for too long because you'll get a headache.
Yes.
Okay. When you sit down and you play Call of Duty, do you just play for an hour and a half? No, you're
I don't
there.
think you blink either.
Yeah, see? Don't blink.
Not to mention Call of Duty already gives me a headache because it's a first-person shooter, and I know I'm not the only one that gets motion sick based off of
So you're sitting there for 5 hours, not blinking, not moving,
not eating. Or
why
going
would
to
you
the
play
bathroom.
3D when you actually have to limit yourself? Like, I'm sorry, guys. 2 hours, I'm done. I gotta go stop and read a book. Yeah, right.
Wait.
What is
the heck is a book?
That'd be 1D. We're 2 steps forward.
It's like the internet on paper.
But that's why the 3DS is going to succeed. It's 3D that you can only play for about 3 hours before
then the battery's dead.
Nintendo has it all figured out.
They do. That's why they print money.
It's at 45 minutes. The battery life is
But the big thing that I saw, it was 2 days ago actually, when we were preparing for the show. My Nintendo News at My Nintendo News on Twitter put out this thing for Charlie. I can't pronounce the name.
Shibeta?
Shibeta. There you go. He's like one of the lead guys in charge of marketing for Nintendo, and he actually put out an interesting quote saying that a while back they were saying that we're trying to move away from hardcore gamers, and he's like, oh, that's not true whatsoever. And then he goes and says, just look at the titles that we're launching for the 3DS. And so I looked. And what happened was, guys, this is for all the serious gamers out there. I need to know, serious gamers, are you interested in Nintendo dogs and cats? Maybe?
No.
Maybe that's up there with Call of Duty?
Augmented reality.
It's a cute game, I'm not gonna lie, but it's not for the hardcore.
Here we go. Combat of Giants, Dinosaurs 3D.
You can't go wrong with dinosaurs in 3D.
Wait. Now, is it the Jim Henson's Dinosaurs that was played?
Not the mama.
If it's that one, I'm in. I'm sold.
And then, okay, here's another. Pilot Wings Resort. We all remember Pilot Wings being a launch title for the Nintendo 64.
Yes.
But
Which actually came out in 1964. That's true fact.
Again, as a serious gamer, probably not going to pick that up. But he does have some truth to what he says. There are games like you have Madden NFL coming out, Super Street Fighter 4. The new Resident Evil actually looks good when I saw the trailer. So yes, there are some serious gamer titles.
But not first party from Nintendo.
Yeah, and that's another thing. He says the first people to buy a 3DS are going to be the people that already own a DS, and they want the upgrade. So if that be true, where's my Mario Kart? Where's Mario? I got no
thought
Link.
Ocarina of Time was launching with the 3DS.
It's not launching with, I think it's coming out.
It doesn't even have a date.
Actually, it was released, I think,
really?
June.
Really?
I think they're saying June. Even still.
Placeholder.
Okay, again, how many of us played through Ocarina of Time just once?
Say what?
How many of us actually just played Ocarina of Time once? We probably played that game over and over until it was dead.
I never played it.
Oh, looks like Gatsby is going to be playing in 3D.
I haven't played it either. I haven't played a Nintendo game since like Super Nintendo.
That's a lie.
Yeah, you're right.
You're a liar.
You right. So the question is then, I mean, we're in some way, shape, or form against it, but we have to admit, those of us who saw Avatar, it definitely brought you in. Those of us who saw Avatar in 3D.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I think was the only way to watch Avatar.
Agreed.
Okay, so question is it worth the money then? I mean, it is sad that they're trying to make every movie in 3D. It's like Finding Nemo Reborn 3D, extra digital, Star Wars remastered 3D, more Jawas. Like, is it worth it? And how do we know what movies to pick from, what games to pick from to have that 3D experience? Is it worth it? Does it add to the depth of anything, or should movies specifically be shot in 3D and distributed in 3D?
Travis, you doing the post conversion, so you'll do movies that are shot in 2D and then turn them into 3D.
Right.
What's your stance on that?
It gives you like a far bit of advantage as to shooting 3D. A good example, which is a Jackass 3D. I don't know if you saw the porta potty scene.
Yes.
I haven't seen it yet. I've never watched it.
So, yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't think you would waste, millions of dollars of, on a camera to put it into the porta potty, and then obviously having thing come at you. I'm not going to say what.
Defecation.
Poop.
Defecation.
But I mean,
Doo-doo.
it's much more reliable if you took like a rinky-dinky camera, put it in there, and then just convert it. So, I mean, it does have, the pros and cons towards converting into 2D from 3D. Mm. But, I mean, not a lot of movies should be in 3D. James Cameron, he pretty much set that benchmark as far as where 3D should be.
Because he created a technology.
Right. I mean, even if you at the beginning of the scene, you're flying through this whole environment, this landscape, and it's you kind of immerse yourself
right off the bat.
Yeah, you kind of feel but I mean, as far as movies that failed, Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, Clash of the Titans. That was the first movie I think that was pushed back. Whoa, we're gonna release 2 months later so we can turn it 3D.
Right.
Which afterwards,
was, flop apparently.
Yeah,
People
not
were
go over well.
Why did I pay $9,000 for
the reason that really upset me was because it pushed it to release the same time as How to Train Your Dragon, which was actually a good movie in 3D.
A great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier as far as CG goes. Toy Story 3, How to Train Your Dragon, it's easier for them to convert into 3D just because the whole 3D aspect.
Everything's in
You just add 2 cameras into the scene, and you're good to go. But I mean, you're not going to see Natalie Portman in
Ashton Kutcher.
Right. Yeah.
Although 3D Natalie Portman, Mila Kunis, yeah, that'd be
Well,
pretty
she is
nice.
pregnant, by the way, so if you want to see her belly kind of, pop out a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. I would go see anything in 3D that was graphically fascinating, like something like How to Train Your Dragon or Toy Story or Tron or Avatar. Things that are on that scale should be in 3D.
Well,
Jackass, I don't think I need to see flying.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, you can go to a German Schweitzer video for that. I don't need to pay $20 to see that in a theater. Okay, Flips?
Well, that was my mindset going into Alice in Wonderland. I saw Alice in Wonderland in 3D thinking, okay, this is going to be a very imaginative movie, a lot of imagery, this should be fun. Mm-hmm. After sitting there for an hour and a half, ooh, I didn't need to spend the extra $8 to watch this in 3D. I would have been completely satisfied in 2D.
Yeah, it looks like it would have been amazing in 3D. I saw it at home, but that's kind of a bummer.
So go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off, but do you think that the stigma of bad 3D will follow from movies to games where people are going to just brush it off as a cheap gimmick to get more money?
I think interesting thing about that is look at Call of Duty Black Ops. It has a 3D mode. You can switch it off and on just like that, and it's still a $60 game.
Really? I thought that was just a glitch that they called a feature.
So you figure in different modes they can add that extra camera, those extra cameras needed. to give it that authentic 3D. I mean, again, like he said with, Tangled, Toy Story, How to Train Your Dragon, because it's CG, they have that extra option. Now, not every game needs to be in 3D. Like, I don't really need Marvel vs. Capcom 3 in 3D. Marvel vs. Capcom 3D. No, I don't need it. It's a fighter, it's 2D. Maybe Tekken. I don't know. So I don't know if personally I don't know if it really be that big of an issue until they start putting out nonsense.
My biggest fear about 3D games is what we saw, especially coming from Nintendo. Okay, Super Nintendo, Super Mario Brothers, Super this, Super that, Super this, Nintendo 64, Pilot Wing 64, Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
So now I don't want to see
Mario 3D,
Mortal Kombat 3D, Tekken 3D, this 3D. I'm like, no. I understand it's in 3D. It's bad enough that every time I see a trailer in a movie, it's like
eye-popping 3D.
Yeah, like this summer
3D.
in 3D. It's like, oh really? I didn't see that one coming. Next trailer, also in 3D. Like, really, guys? I get it now.
Passion of the Christ returns to the screen in 3D. See how Jesus got it in 3D. Everything 3D. Breakfast 3D. Lunch. Yeah.
Wow, that was a little 4D.